Dan Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening. I am Daniel Moore in with your VON Major News package for today, Friday, July 5th, 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, St. Kitts National sentenced to 18 years in prison for failed assassinations in St. Martin, and actuary to visit Federation shortly to further discuss universal health care for St. Kitts and Nevis. Regionally, lawsuit filed against man who called Guyana's Minister of Education incompetent. Internationally, 8 persons convicted for slavery of 400 victims in the UK. And in sports, Pakistan beat Bangladesh, but New Zealand into semi-finals for Cricket World Cup. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back, and now for the national news. Information reaching the VON News line have revealed that 2 nationals of St. Kitts have been sentenced to 18 years in prison for failed assassination attempts on 2 men who were sitting in a car outside L'Esperance Hotel in Clay Hill, St. Martin on November 18, 2018. According to the Daily Herald SX in St. Martin, 28-year-old Akeem Alexis Chumney and 36-year-old Craig MacArthur Halliday of Bastyr were found guilty of 2 attempted murders and possession of illegal firearms. Halliday was also convicted of possession of 4 false €500 bills that were found when he was arrested. The men had tried to take 2 lives in a crude manner by firing shots at 2 persons from close range. The judge stated in the verdict, which was handed down on Thursday, not only had they fired shots at the men they wanted to kill, but also at the driver of the vehicle. According to the information from the Daily Herald, investigations of 2 defendants' phones indicated that both had been in Clay Hill area around the time of the shooting, which had taken place in broad daylight around 4 p.m. Both men had been wearing similar clothing to the ones worn by the 2 shooters, as seen on the hotel video surveillance camera images of the shooting. Subsequently, they were recognized as the shooters and nationals of St. Kitts. The VON Newsline contacted the police for further details, but to no avail. In March of 2019, chairpersons of the St. Kitts and Nevis National Commission for Universal Healthcare, or SKN-NCUHC, Azilla Clark, reported that the actual consultants from Morneau Chapelle Bahamas Limited were close to completing their work. According to Ms. Clark, their task is to develop funding forecasts and projections for the national health insurance, including setting adequate healthcare premiums. She also noted at that time that the actual report is expected shortly and will inform the white paper on universal healthcare for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So where is the federal government with the process of the healthcare program? Speaking at the Prime Minister's press conference on Tuesday, July 2nd, Minister with responsibility for health, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, provided this update to the general public.
We have had the report couple of weeks now, and the commission asked for my comments on it, which I've given, and invited them to produce the document which Cabinet can look at and make a decision. That document has been prepared. It is described as the blueprint for the introduction of universal health coverage in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I have already sent soft copies of that document to each cabinet member, and today as we speak, if it is not yet completed, it is a work in progress, completing hard copies for each cabinet member.
The health minister also disclosed that the actuary would be in the Federation shortly to further discuss the rolling out of health insurance.
In the next week or so, the actuary, Derek Osborne, should be here. I can't recall the date, but he has an appointment to meet with cabinet in a short while from now. During those meetings, we will have an opportunity to hear from them and to grill them with certain questions to get the answers.
Minister Hamilton noted that a lot of ground has been covered and there is more ground to cover.
When cabinet has had the discussion with the actuary and with representatives of the University of the West Indies, who from February last year spent a whole year on the ground doing the groundwork in preparation for this, cabinet will hear from them as well, and cabinet will again hear from the commission that has come up with the blueprint, whether individually as groups or collectively. We will then be in a position to make a decision as cabinet as to how universal health coverage will roll out in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, how soon and how we will roll it out in terms of what will be implemented in the first place and the second phase or third phase, or if all phases as a go.
The Honorable Eugene Hamilton. In more national news,
the 23rd edition of our St. Kitts Music Festival has been recorded in the minds of many and the annals of history as the most successful edition to date of our music festival. Let me congratulate Minister Lindsey Grant and his team, and in particular Damian Hobson, the chairman of the Music Festival Committee, on an excellent job. Equally, I commend the Police High Command and our Defense Forces for outstanding security arrangements made at the new venue. 3 nights, I am advised by the chairman, drew well over 25,000 attendees, and there was no major incident reported to the Commissioner of Police.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. The St. Kitts Music Festival ran from Wednesday, June 26th to Saturday, June 29th. On the 26th, the event began with an opening fete called Escape at Salt Plage in St. Kitts. Following that, there were 3 concert nights from Thursday, June 27th to Saturday, June 29th at the Kim Collins Athletic Stadium in Bird Rock. The event climaxed on Sunday, June 30th with White Sands at Carambola. Meantime, Dr. Harris gave more details about how the festival impacted businesses across the Federation.
The hotels had a big boost in stayover arrivals. You couldn't get in, no matter how hard you try. Car rentals agency were overbooked. The water taxi operators made good money, and every event, I am told, returned good rewards. But there is more good news. I'm advised that over 50 local businesses employing 300 persons have benefited directly from this year's music festival.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris said his Team Unity administration is willing to partner with any entity and listen to all ideas that can bring about an even greater level of peace in the country. He was quoted as saying, "Every initiative to help keep our country safe by any entity will be and is welcome by my administration as a positive move." He further indicated that there are currently a number of patriotic members of society who have committed to working with gangs and other vulnerable groups to bring about positive change in individuals' attitude to life and living. The National Security Minister added that his government has been approached by the outreach team of patriots with concrete measures which the team considers could help preserve peace as well as law and order in the Federation. He stated that government will continue to support and invest in the continued success of its social intervention programs, including the Explorers Youth Group and the Teens and Police Support Programs. The Teen Unity Administration continues its efforts to improve infrastructure here in St. Kitts and Nevis. The administration is in the process of making doing businesses at government headquarters in Basseterre easier for wheelchair users and other individuals with disabilities. This will be so with the installation of a piece of efficient platform lift capable of accommodating up to 5 persons of average weight. According to Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Osbert de Souza, and I quote, "It is all in an attempt to ensure that we make the government headquarters accessible to challenged persons who have to move around in wheelchairs," end quote. The installed lift is a Cybes A5000, which is described by its manufacturers as a smart and adaptable lift solution for public and commercial buildings. Additionally, a ramp will be placed within the Prime Minister's office, allowing access to an area where there are steps, making all areas within the government headquarters wheelchair accessible. And finally, the Regional Security System is hosting a two-week course at the Ocean Terrace Inn, or OTI, in St. Kitts on digital evidence collection from July 1st to the 12th. The course consists of 16 students hailing from Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis. They include law enforcement personnel from major crimes, criminal investigation units, and beat and patrol. Course facilitator Inspector Logan Joseph from Antigua and Barbuda Police Force said that the course is built to give officers the ability and knowledge to help when they go to a crime scene as first responders to capture and report digital evidence. Additionally, he said that retrieving digital evidence in the age of technology is very important, and explained that the course will outline the different laws which speak to digital evidence that govern a number of territories throughout the region. Participants will be certified as first responders in digital evidence law at the end of the course. And that's it for our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vaughanradio.com or check us out on our Facebook page at Vaughan Radio or our Vaughan Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for 2, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back, and now for the regional news. The Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy, or CGID, strongly condemned a lawsuit filed by Guyana's Minister of Education, Nicolette Henry, in the Guyana Supreme Court against CGID President Rickford Burke. According to CaribNewsNow.com, Henry's lawsuit states that a March 7, 2019 post on Burke's Facebook page, which expressed the view that she has, quote, failed Guyana with her incompetence as Minister of Education, placed her reputation in public disrepute, and defamed her character. Henry's lawsuit is a direct attack on CGID by a Minister of Government of Guyana. Rickford Burke resides in the United States. CGID is a nonprofit organization that is registered in the United States, where the right to free speech is guaranteed by the United States Constitution, as well as enforced by the courts and other branches of the U.S. government as a fundamental right and cardinal tenet of a democratic society. CGID believes that in a democratic society, the rights of citizens are paramount to a narrow self-interest of political actors and must, therefore, be enforced against those who transgress fundamental rights and civil liberties. In Trinidad, police are investigating the death of a 3-year-old boy found in a private school bus on Thursday. Based on information from the TrinidadExpress.com, police reports state that the female bus driver picked up little Isaiah Hazel at his Trotman Road Cova home to take him to an early childhood center. Police believed that the child fell asleep in the back seat, and the driver did not notice him. She returned home and parked the vehicle. Several hours later, police said the woman returned to get the bus and drove it to school. She still did not notice the little boy in the back of the vehicle. Isaiah was discovered by his friends, who returned to the bus to go home that afternoon. Police say he was lying motionless on the floor of the bus, and attempts were immediately made to revive him. It is believed he suffocated. Isaiah was taken to Cova District Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. An autopsy will be performed on Friday. In May 2014, police charged a 56-year-old grandfather with manslaughter in the death of a 17-month-old baby who died in the back seat of his car after the man forgot to drop off the toddler at the home of a relative before going to work. 49 Haitian migrants were interdicted by the U.S. Coast Guard approximately 21 miles northeast of Punta Maysi, Cuba, last Saturday. The crew of the Royal Netherlands Navy ship HNLMS Groningen, with a Coast Guard law enforcement team, interdicted a 35-foot Haitian sail freighter with 49 migrants aboard, 3 of those being unaccompanied children. The crew of the Coast Guard cutter Tampa was diverted to assist. On scene, they embarked the 49 migrants, 39 males and 10 females, due to safety concerns with the vessel. Once aboard a Coast Guard cutter, all migrants received food, water, shelter, and basic medical attention. CaribNews.now.com quoted Michael Vega of the Coast Guard 7th District Enforcement Branch as saying, "The Coast Guard continues to maintain a focused and coordinated effort with the multiple agency assets to interdict any attempt to dangerously and unlawfully immigrate by sea to the United States." Approximately 2,932 Haitian migrants have attempted to illegally enter the United States via the maritime environment in the fiscal year 2019, compared to 2,727 Haitian migrants in the fiscal year 2018. And finally, in Grenada, the soursop industry has great economic value and has been seen as one of the most yielding export crops in the country recently. However, the Ministry of Agriculture, in its efforts to avoid complacency, is strengthening its approach towards maintaining relevance in the industry. According to NowGrenada.com, a governance structure is being put in place with help from the Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, as well as a soursop value chain workshop held at the National Stadium on July 3rd. The workshop saw the coming together of a Value Chain Coordinating Committee, or VCCC, with the aim of putting together a workshop consisting of sector stakeholders to be the governing body of Grenada's soursop sector. The VCCC consists of soursop farmers, exporters, agro-processors, policymakers, and representatives from the agro-trade support services. Grenada's soursop industry has the advantage of Grenada being the only country that can export the fruit in its fresh form to the United States, and in this regard, the FAO has partnered with the ministry to ensure it remains. That's it for regional news. International news comes up next. Welcome back, and now for the international news. Members of a gang behind the biggest modern-day slavery network ever exposed in the UK have been jailed. Police believe more than 400 victims were put to work in West Midlands by the organized crime gang. They tricked vulnerable people from Poland into England with the promise of work and a better life. However, their victims were made to live in rat-infested houses and work low-status jobs. 8 offenders, who police say are members of associates of 2 Polish crime families, have been convicted of slavery, trafficking, and money laundering offenses during 2 trials. Here is more in this BBC report.
The gang trafficked vulnerable people from Poland into the West Midlands with the promise of work and a better life. But they were made to live in rat-infested houses, put to work in menial jobs, and had their wages stolen. They were mentally and physically abused, and some were so hungry they ate scraps from bins. The gang made millions of pounds, and their leader drove a Bentley. 8 gang members have been convicted during 2 trials. 5 have been jailed for between 4.5 and 11 years. The others will be sentenced later.
An Iranian official has said a British oil tanker should be seized if a detained Iranian ship is not released. British Royal Marines helped officials in Gibraltar to seize the supertanker Grace 1 on Thursday after it was suspected of carrying oil from Iran to Syria in breach of EU sanctions. Iran later summoned the British ambassador in Tehran to complain about what it said was a form of piracy. The BBC's Alan Johnston reports.
The British say they seized the tanker to stop resources going to what they've called the murderous regime in Damascus. But for the Iranians, this is about their battle to survive crushing American sanctions imposed after President Trump abandoned the international nuclear deal. Customers around the world can no longer buy Iran's oil. Its economy is being hammered, and with every passing month, the pain will grow. Iran will do everything it can to evade the embargo. Sending oil to Syria was one option. And Tehran is furious that the British have closed that door by seizing the tanker. In Iran, there's contempt for the UK, which is seen as having acted on Washington's orders.
Southern California was hit by its strongest earthquake in 2 decades on Thursday. The epicenter of the 6.4 magnitude tremor was near the city of Ridgecrest, which is about 150 miles northeast of Los Angeles. Firefighters provided medical assistance and dealt with fires in and around the city on Friday. People from Mojave Desert to Pacific Coast reported feeling the quake, which hit on Independence Day. There was significant damage in Ridgecrest, which lies southwest of the epicenter. Local geophysicist Professor John Rundell told the BBC. He said that it was fortunate the quake had happened far away from major population centers. Roads were cracked and broken, and power lines fell to the ground after the earthquake, which also shattered glass and cracked the walls of some homes in the region. A fan has claimed Nickelodeon used his SpongeBob SquarePants artwork without his permission. Matt Salvador, 17, says the art was featured in an advert for the show, which aired in June. His artwork, uploaded online in 2016, is drawn in the style of a background used in the typical episode. Various YouTube channels have uploaded the video, which the fan says shows the same artwork, but with his signature at the bottom right-hand corner removed. And finally, China is deliberately separating Muslim children from their families, faith, and language in its western region of Xinjiang, according to new research. At the same time as hundreds of thousands of adults are being detained in giant camps, a rapid, large-scale campaign to build boarding schools is underway. That's it for international news. Sports is up next.
Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis, your one-stop shop for all your school supply needs. Get bundle savings on backpack and computer packages, but save 20% off all back-to-school materials and printers. Back-to-school shopping is made easy at Tennessee Business Center and City Drugstore Nevis. See stores for details.
Welcome back, and now on to sports. In cricket, Pakistan hammered Bangladesh at Lord's but was not able to secure a spot in the semi-finals. New Zealand, on the other hand, has secured a World Cup semi-final place. Pakistan needed a victory by a record margin of at least 308 runs to finish fourth on a better net run rate. An Imanul Haq century and 96 from Bazar Azam saw them post 319 for 9 before they dismissed Bangladesh for 221. Saqib Al-Han top-scored with 64 for the Tigers, but Simar Shaheen Afridi, 6 for 35, produced a match-winning spell. Pakistan could not reach the semi-finals once Bangladesh reached 8 for 0 in the second over of their chase, confirming New Zealand in the last four with Australia, India and England. England will finish third and New Zealand fourth, with the group winners to be decided on Saturday. The scores were Pakistan 315 for 9 with 50 overs, Imam 100, Babar 96, Mustafizur 5 for 75, Bangladesh 221, 44.1 overs, Shakib 64, Shaheen 6 for 35. Pakistan won by 94 runs. And that's it for sports. The weather is up next. The weather today, partly cloudy with a 50% or moderate chance of showers. The weather tonight, partly cloudy with a 30% or low chance of showers. Winds east at 12 to 16 knots or 22 to 30 kilometers per hour. Seas 1.5 to 2.1 meters or 5 to 7 feet. The small craft caution is in effect. Sunset today 6:49 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow 5:42 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, July 5th, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, St. Kitts nationals sentenced to 18 years in prison for failed assassinations in St. Martin, and actuary to visit Federation shortly to further discuss universal healthcare for St. Kitts and Nevis. Regionally, lawsuit filed against man who called Guyana's Minister of Education incompetent. Internationally, 8 persons convicted for slavery of 400 victims in the UK. And in sports, Pakistan beat Bangladesh, but New Zealand into semifinals of Cricket World Cup. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Daniel Moore, wishing you a safe and enjoyable weekend.